all it takes is 6.5 seconds of insane courage to start something. And I think for me, those were my 6.5 seconds when I decided to go on the streets of Gurgaon and sell hot chocolate. I used to travel शाम को after my office in the metro stations to just figure out कि कौन सी जगह ऐसी है जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा भीड़ होती है. I'm sure उस दिन लोग hot chocolate से ज़्यादा ये लड़कियाँ क्या खड़े होके बेच रही है मैं interested थे. I think in the lockdown, the world was dealing with something bigger. And at that time, focusing on Tiggle didn't make sense for me. So Tiggle was on a pause. In Tiggle, we went from a 4 to 14 member team. We recently launched 2.4 million users through one of our ads on Instagram. We also became the first. What is that one thing जिसका नाम सुनते ही सबके चेहरे पे खुशी आ जाती है? फिर चाहे वो 5 साल का छोटा बच्चा हो या हमारी दादी माँ. What is that one thing that is the solution to every mood? No matter if you are happy, sad, PMSing. वो एक चीज which can bring smile to everyone's face and is the solution to every mood is nothing else but chocolate. And इसी chocolate की दिन रात की craving ने मुझे 23 साल में एक entrepreneur बना दिया. Though the start of my journey was not as sweet as chocolate, but it has been one of its kind. Before we begin today, here I want you to imagine. A 21-year-old girl who used to carry her laptop bag with herself every morning is now carrying a big steel jar on the streets of Gurgaon with her massive dream to revolutionize the hot chocolate industry. At that point, she'd question herself, what the hell am I doing? And I'm sure that hundreds of people who were passing by would have been judging me and thinking, why would she do something like this? But deep down, I knew I'm on the right path. So there I am on the streets of Gurgaon, outside a metro station, with my shaky legs and sweaty palms. With thousands of questions and doubts in my mind, I was stuck. Hello everyone, my name is Anuva Kakkar and I'm the founder of Tiggle, which is India's first hot chocolate focused D2C brand. This phrase, take one step at a time, has really helped me in my journey. And today, let me share with you how taking small steps led me to quit my cubicle, to sell 5 to 10 cups a day, to now selling over 200,000 cups of hot chocolate within a year in the pandemic. I have come a long way from where I started and I have a long way in front of me. But today, let's talk about how it all started. Let's go back in time a little. I come from this small yet famous city called Agra. And as far as I can remember, I always wanted to do everything. मुझे बचपन से ही सब कुछ बनना था. So at the age of 5, I wanted to become an astronaut. At the age of 10, I wanted to become an IAS officer. At the age of 11, I wanted to become a chartered accountant. And in my teenage years, I wanted to become a travel blogger, an architect, an adventurer, and the list is long. But soon when I started my college, I was pushed out of my comfort zone and I naturally came out of my own bubble. For my graduation, I went to Banasthali University in Rajasthan in 2016. And my college life was a turning point for me. Firstly, because it was the first time when I was so closely seeing the real life situations. And also, at the same time, this is the first time I was so closely introduced to the startup ecosystem. I realized that listening to startup ideas and startup pitches brings a different kind of spark in my belly. And building businesses and building a brand fascinated me a lot. So 3 years straight in my college, I spent listening to more startup pitches than listening to my regular course classes. And as I shared with you, I wanted to get my hands dirty on multiple things. So I started with a couple of side hustles in my college year itself. So I used to freelance, I used to do internships and उसके साथ मैंने बहुत सारे initiatives करने चालू कर दिया. I opened up this company called Post a Postcard. So मैंने एक postcard की company भी खोल ली. All I was doing in my college is मैं हाथ पैर मार रही थी and I was hustling to learn and मुझे बहुत मजा आ रहा था. However, all the things which I started in my college, this postcard company and all of that which I was exploring was flopped. It was a failure. But as they say, there's a silver lining in everything you do. At a very early stage in life, I tasted the hustle culture And I developed a mindset which makes me think of ideas and problems in every situation. So after graduating, I started my career with this known startup in Gurgaon, and it was all going great. I used to learn more about how a startup functions, and everything was going amazing. After one hectic day at work, when I returned to my PG, I had a craving for a really good cup of hot chocolate. So I went to my PG friends and asked them if they are interested to come along and go out for a hot chocolate. To my surprise, none of them ever tasted hot chocolate. And even if they have, they couldn't recall the last time they drank this hot beverage, and they couldn't recall the taste of hot chocolate. Well, that's fair also, because to have one cup of good hot chocolate, you have to travel to a high-end cafe and burn out your pockets. I have been a hot chocolate lover throughout my life, and I'll go to a cafe, spend at least 200 to 300 rupees on just one cup, and this is something which I can afford just a couple of times a month as a fresher. On the other hand, making hot chocolate at home has always turned out to be a terrible idea because of the lack of good quality hot chocolate mixes available in the market. So now, bells started ringing in my head. Is this an opportunity? And I asked myself a question which I'll ask you as well. What are the top 3 hot beverages which comes to your mind as first? So the market for the first 2 beverages you thought of is already saturated. Hundreds of new companies have started and are catering to all types of tea and coffee lovers. I hope the third hot beverage which came to your mind is hot chocolate, because the any other I could think of right now is Kada, which my mom gave me lately during the pandemic. So now while all of this is going on in my mind, hot chocolate, hot beverages, I ended up visiting this one modern trade outlet which was right in front of my office. And to my surprise, I see that in the cold beverage section in that modern trade outlet, there are thousands of options. Firstly, the space is so big and there are all types of juices, cold coffee, sodas and so on. While on the other hand, in the hot beverage section, all I could see is tea and coffee. So again, this observation landed me in a cluster of thoughts. One, I saw a big gap in the market and realized that hot chocolate lovers are not catered well yet. And two, I thought that there's a need for some innovation in the hot beverage section in India. Now your own idea always looks like $1 billion idea, but what next? So first, I started reading more about making hot chocolate at home from scratch. I spent a couple of weeks on it, and seeing me so interested in cooking, my mom would have been so proud of me. After I cracked a basic hot chocolate recipe using the basic ingredients which were available in the market at that time, I thought it's time to validate. Not just validate the recipe, but also validate the demand for a product like hot chocolate in the Indian market. Somebody mentioned this to me a couple of years back, that all it takes is 6.5 seconds of insane courage to start something. And I think for me, those were my 6.5 seconds when I decided to go on the streets of Gurgaon and sell hot chocolate to the strangers and take their feedback. The daring me went to the market the next day, brought a big steel jar just like the one you see on the railway station. I designed a couple of pamphlets and brought a pack of disposable cups, prepared a few liters of hot chocolate, and went to DLF Phase 3 metro station. It's a popular point of commute for all the people making their way back home from their office. Gurgaon बहुत बड़ा है. To even decide कि कौन सी location पे I have to stand first day was a task of its own. It took me more than a week to just finalize on the location, and it happened because I realized कि इस जगह पे बहुत ज़्यादा लोग आते हैं. I used to travel शाम को after my office in the metro stations to just figure out कि कौन सी जगह ऐसी है जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा भीड़ होती है. So now I went to that locality and I started asking people that can I stand and sell something over here? Can I take a small space of your shop? And I have received the most weirdest reactions of my life in those 15-20 minutes when I was just approaching people to let me stand for a few minutes. I went to a juice shop and he said no to me. I went to other shops and all of them, 4, 5, 6 of them said no to me. And then I started becoming even more nervous because I thought all these 4, 5 people are now talking about me कि ये लड़की यहाँ क्या कर रही है. Finally, a kind human, this biryani shop uncle, he allowed me to set up my stall there. He was kind enough to even give me a table to set up everything and sell. So with all the nervousness, my shaky legs, I could sense the shakiness in my body. I do all the setup and I start distributing pamphlets to people. Now, while I'm distributing pamphlets to people, all I was asking myself कि क्या मैंने गलत decision ले लिया, because I was nervous and there were people who were passing by gazing at me. But within a few minutes, a queue of curious people formed. I'm sure उस दिन लोग hot chocolate से ज़्यादा ये लड़कियाँ क्या खड़े होके बेच रही है में interested थे. ये इसका एक college project है या फिर इसके friends ने इसको dare दिया है. What is she actually trying to do? But मेरा काम हो रहा था. People were coming, asking for hot chocolate from me. I was serving to them and they were giving me their feedback. Within 52 minutes, I was able to sell the complete jar. And this landed me in so much of confidence. I still clearly remember the face of this person who was standing in the queue waiting for his chance to come, and all I could say to him was no, because I was all sold out. Being able to sell the entire jar independently in less than 1 hour not only landed me in confidence, but I was on cloud 9 that day. As someone जिसको market और business के बारे में कोई idea ही नहीं था, ये कर पाना आज के दिन पे मैं जब सोचती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है छोटी बात है शायद. But that moment, being able to do this was the exact spark which I needed. It was the right kick which I needed. And then I told myself that the market is not 0, market is 1, and I need to take this from 1 to 10. I need to take this idea to the new heights. After just a couple of days, I partnered with a kiosk inside the same metro station, and I'll wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to prepare a few liters of hot chocolate, give to this kiosk owner so he sells it throughout the day, and in the evening when I come back from my office, I'll collect the cash from him and I'll ask about the feedback. Slowly, after just a couple of days, more kiosk owners out nearby that kiosk saw that this product is picking up, and then they came to me that can you supply this to us also. So now instead of 5 o'clock, I'll wake up at 4 in the morning, rush to the Mool shop, get liters of milk, prepare hot chocolate, give to all these kiosk owners and run back to my office. Same chain was repeating. On Saturdays and Sundays, on weekends, I'll myself stand to collect the feedback. This kept happening for 2 months, and then I realized that this is not a scalable business idea. How will I scale a liquid hot chocolate business? And then I told myself, can I prepare a great quality hot chocolate mix which is unlike the ones available in the market right now? Can I really create something which can help people prepare chocolatey goodness at home within 2 to 3 minutes? With this thought and with this focus, and also उस टाइम पे मुझे बिल्कुल आइडिया नहीं था कि मैं इसे सेल कैसे करूंगी. D2C स्पेस के बारे में तो मैंने कभी सुना भी नहीं था. So my focus was clear कि I need to make a great quality, best quality hot chocolate mix. कैसे करना है, कैसे बिकेगा वो कुछ नहीं पता था. With that focus, I started asking more and more people. I started reaching out to people. I started reaching out to farmers, people from the chocolate industry so that they can help me out. And फिर से मैंने हाथ पैर मारने शुरू कर दिए to figure it out. But then the pandemic happened. Just 24 hours before the first ever lockdown was announced in our country, I rushed back to my home in Agra. The pandemic left me confused just like everyone else. I was clueless yet again. And oh, by the way, by this time I already quit my job. So to sustain myself and keep upskilling, I started freelancing in the marketing domain with a couple of other startups. Although the pandemic brought a big pause to my dream of starting my own venture, it also gave me enough time to understand more about brand building. I learned about the D2C space in the pandemic. I started reading more about positioning, packaging, marketing, and so on. I think in the lockdown, the world was dealing with something bigger. And at that time, focusing on Tiggle didn't make sense for me. So Tiggle was on a pause, but then something happened that shook me. My mother, who is a banker, she was going to her office every day, even in the lockdown days. And one day she comes back to home and tells me that one of the workers from her office got fired. And I didn't react anything to that news because people getting fired is a common news back then. She comes the second day and told me the second worker also got fired, and then the third worker also got fired. So now I need to close my laptop and go to my mother and ask about the lives of these 3 people. She started telling me that they don't have a backup plan, one of them recently got a child, they all have a family, and this incident somehow touched me. This brought the spark of starting something again in me. And then I again started having these thoughts in my mind, and I started asking, can I start something which not only brings smile on the face of people who consume it, but also make an impact on the life of people who are making it? Can I build a company where profits meet purpose? And with that, with full force, full-fledged, I started working on Tiggle. After that, I tasted cocoa from 50 farms from southern India just to make sure that not only I source the best quality ingredients, but also so that I can partner with the right kind of folks, so that I can do something which directly impacts the life of the farmers making that product. I started giving my 100% to crack the best formula, to crack the best packaging with the minimum resources I had at that moment. The vision for Tiggle was not just to obtain the premium ingredients, but also to be able to impact the life of the farmers who are making it. So soon, once we cracked the best formula, designed our packaging, built our website, Tiggle was reborn. We launched Tiggle in the D2C space in November of 2020. And in our manufacturing unit in Agra, we hired an all-women team. We brought women who never stepped out of their home for work. And I still remember this girl, Diksha. She was the first one to join our manufacturing unit. And when she came, उसको कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आता था. So I, along with her, spent a lot of time to train her. And today, she leads the manufacturing team. And कोई अगर कुछ गलती कर देता है तो मुझे कभी आके किसी को सही करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, because she developed these leadership skills in herself within an year. In Tiggle, we went from a 4 to 14 member team. We recently launched 2.4 million users through one of our ads on Instagram. We also became the first D2C company in India to launch a voting platform for the community. Also, we launched India's first Jaggery hot chocolate mix. We are innovating and doing everything possible to reach the new heights. With our community and customer-first approach, we not only increased our sales in the last 1 year, but have also developed so much of love around the brand. And internally, we so many times discuss how we can build India's most loved consumer brand. I'm grateful for all the lives that we have touched through Tiggle. So if you are someone like me who is as confused, take one step at a time. If you're a college student who is listening to this, and you want to build an impact and start your own venture or do something, maybe your first step is to first figure out that idea or figure out that problem or figure out that space in which you are very interested. So your first step is to read and learn more about yourself and explore the spaces nearby you. If you are someone who already has an idea and you want to launch it, your first step could be to first validate that idea with the minimum resources that you have. Taking one step at a time in life has immensely impacted me, and I hope it helps you too. Dream big, bigger than what you were dreaming yesterday. Keep the long-term game in your mind, but take one step at a time. Thank you.
Josh Talks is now a Spotify exclusive podcast. The audio version of our talks will be available only on Spotify. If you like this video and you like to listen to more inspiring stories like this, please follow the Josh Talks podcast only on Spotify.
क्योंकि आप जोश टॉक्स देख रहे हैं, जाहिर सी बात है कि आप अपनी जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं. ये जाहिर सी बात है कि आप अपनी जिंदगी को सीरियसली लेते हैं. आप वो सारे स्किल्स एक्वायर करना चाहते हैं जिससे आप जिंदगी में तरक्की कर सकें, लोगों से आगे बढ़ पाएं. और अगर ये सच है तो जोश टॉक्स का ही एक ऐप है जोश स्किल्स, जहां एग्जैक्टली इसी चीज को करने के लिए बहुत ही खूबसूरत बहुत सारे कोर्सेज बनाए गए हैं. कोर्सेज जो लाखों स्टूडेंट्स ऑलरेडी ले चुके हैं. ये कोर्सेज स्पेसिफिकली सिर्फ एजुकेशनल नहीं है जहां आप एक्सेल स्किल्स, पावर पॉइंट स्किल्स और ये सब सीख सकते हैं, बल्कि लाइफ स्किल्स भी हैं जहां आप पब्लिक स्पीकर कैसे बना जाए वो सीख सकते हैं. आप कॉन्फिडेंस कैसे एक्वायर कर सकते हैं वो सीख सकते हैं. आप हेजिटेशन के बिना कैसे बोलें वो सीख सकते हैं. आप अपनी पर्सनालिटी कैसे डेवलप कर सकते हैं वो सीख सकते हैं. हर एक कोर्स में डेली क्विजेज हैं, एक्सरसाइजेज हैं, एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत कम्युनिटी है जो आपको सपोर्ट करेगी, आपको इनकरेज करेगी. तो अगर आपको ये टॉक पसंद आया हो, जोश टॉक्स जो करता है वो पसंद है, तो आपको जोश स्किल्स भी बहुत बहुत ही फायदेमंद लगेगा. आज ही डाउनलोड करें जोश स्किल्स का ऐप और उनके कोर्सेज एक्सप्लोर करके अपनी जिंदगी को